Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the PG Show, where we talk about all things college football. And today we got to talk about the commitment of Jacobe Johnson. The Oklahoma Sooners, even in the month of August, after a great July, are on a roll and going to continue to be hot. But before we do that, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know what you guys are thinking down in the comments below. Did you guys expect Jacobe Johnson to just commit to the University of Oklahoma since he's from Mustang, Oklahoma? Or did you guys think that a school like Michigan or Oklahoma State or Alabama could snag him from the Sooners? All right, Jacobe Johnson, a 6'3", 4-star athlete from right here in our backyard, Mustang, Oklahoma, has committed to the University of Oklahoma. Now, this is a big one because you beat out Alabama, Michigan, you beat out Oklahoma State, you beat out Stanford. So the kid is obviously smart because to be able to get an offer from Stanford, which is they consider themselves elite when it comes to academics, right? So this is a pretty good win for OU. The reason why it's an even bigger win for the University of Oklahoma is because you actually won a guy in your state. And you might be like, Preston, what do you mean? Here's what I mean. OU has lost out on several top recruits this year and over the past couple years in the state of Oklahoma. The first one being, as I'm recording this video, the number 1 ranked player in by Job in the state of Oklahoma. Community Christian School in Norman, Oklahoma. So he's in literally the backyard of OU. 4-star edge rusher, 6'4", number 10 in his position, number 71. So he's a top 100 overall recruit, goes to Michigan State. So right now, Jacobe Johnson is the 2nd ranked player in the state of Oklahoma. But then you lose out on Luke Haas, who at one point was the best player in the state of Oklahoma. Ranked number 103 nationally, number 6 at his position. He goes to Arkansas. But then you lose a guy like Micah Tease from Booker T. Washington in Tulsa, Oklahoma, to Arkansas. Catching the pattern here? Cole Adams from Owasso to Alabama. And then you lose a guy like Trey Miller, a 3-star cornerback from Edmond, Oklahoma to North Carolina. And obviously, you expect to lose a couple to Oklahoma State because Oklahoma State is, going to be competing with you every single year. But to be able to lose kids to North Carolina and Alabama and all these other schools, Michigan State, that shouldn't be happening to the University of Oklahoma. They should be able to get whoever they want in the state. And I do think that with Brent Venables and the staff here, we know it. They're going to make more of an attempt to go out here and recruit these guys and keep them in state. Especially last year, you saw this with them getting Robert Spears Jennings and the number 1 player in the state in Gentry Williams. But we still lost people like Chris McClellan, or I think I said his name right, the 4-star defensive lineman from Owasso to the Florida Gators, or Talon Shretton, who at one point was committed to the University of Oklahoma, but then decommitted and went to the Oklahoma State. He's from Edmond Santa Fe, which is my alma mater, but you lost him to Oklahoma State, and then you lost other kids to schools like Texas Tech, Washington State, Iowa, Minnesota, Baylor, Utah, Kansas State. These are guys that we should be able to keep in state at home. And so that's why I think this is a big win, right? You get the number 2 player in the state. You get him to stay in Norman, Oklahoma. Now, a lot of people thought he was going to go to OU. You saw a lot of crystal balls in there, right? Cody Nagel from Oklahoma State Insider, he put in a crystal ball for Jacobe Johnson to go to OU on the 25th of June. You saw Steve Wilfon put one in there on June 6th. And then you've seen Brandon Drum and Parker Thune, who we expected to put crystal balls in for Jacobe Johnson. So it's not necessarily a surprise that he went to OU, But it's a big win because you can't chalk anything up as a for sure thing anymore, especially when you lose Micah Tees, Luke Haas, and some of the other guys that you have lost. And then you go out there and you beat a school like Alabama, Michigan, Stanford, Oklahoma State, Arkansas, Alabama, Michigan, you can argue are elite recruiting schools. Michigan actually has that Jordan brand as well. So that's actually a good competition for the University of Oklahoma when it comes to your brand. But let's talk a little bit more about Jacobe Johnson and why I think OU fans should be a little bit more excited for him, right? He is a two-sport athlete. So he plays football and basketball. And there's a good chance that he could play basketball at OU if this football staff lets him, and the basketball staff obviously, gives him an offer to come play. But when you go back and you look at some of his highlights in 247 Sports, which if you guys don't go use their website when you guys are looking at these players, I totally recommend you do. Everything's there. They make it simple and easy. But he looked really impressive at the Trae Young Elite Camp. And he's probably a guy that can come in and give OU some valuable minutes for basketball. Now, the question is, though, hey, if OU's playing on a Saturday in basketball and OU's playing on a Saturday in football, he's going to have to prioritize football, right? So it does maybe get a little dicey there. I don't know how that stuff works. The coaches and everybody figure it out. But when you watch his highlights and you look at his recruiting profile and his scouting report, he did start out as a wide receiver, and then he moved into the defense in the secondary, where you've seen him probably make the biggest impact. I think he's pretty smart, right? We talked about that with Stanford. He's smart. To be able to get an offer from Stanford, you gotta know your stuff. You gotta be book smarts. But obviously, so one of the things that I like about so he's smart, right? Obviously, getting a chance to go to a school like Stanford, getting offered by them, it shows you have book smarts. But he appears to have good court and on-field awareness and instincts, right? He can read a defense, and he can see that, and you can see that when you watch his huddle highlights. The other thing is he's fast. So in his highlights, you see him getting in front of the defenders when he's on the wide receiver, and then when he's playing in the secondary. So another thing is he is fast. You see it in his highlights, right? When he's playing wide receiver, he's getting in front of those defenders. When he's playing in the secondary, he's keeping up with those wide receivers. And that's honestly a big thing, right? You want your secondary to be able to keep up with those wide receivers, and you want them to pretty much be able to stay right there, be able to apply that pressure, keep them from going up. And I think one of the things is playing wide receiver. I think this is going to massively help him in the secondary, because now he's going to be able to go up and grab those interceptions. But then the other thing is you see him be able to get to the quarterback as well. And so that's got to be So you see him being able to get to the quarterback as well, and that's got to be encouraging for OU fans. Because in Brent Venables' defense, you're going to see guys like that get moved up to come and sack the quarterback when it makes sense. So go ahead and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What do you guys think of Jacobe Johnson, and did you expect him to commit to the University of Oklahoma?